I mean, it's where we should probably be, but it's not where we want to be, right? So my kids were excited, so happy for them. My players are probably excited, you know. Um, but got bigger plans than that. So
Did you learn anything when your teams at Temple and Baylor were ranked for the first time about how to handle that, or did it make much of a difference?
yeah, I mean, I you know, I'm I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's so much on the film from this past game that we're like we have to get corrected and get better at. That I think that speaks for itself. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we come here to have high expectations, right? You come here to play in big games. You come here to play in front of that crowd. So you get all the reasons why you come here. So we expect to be ranked, but whatever it is, 23rd, 24th, that's not where we want to end up. So go 1-0 each week and see what happens.
What were the film sessions like?
I just did I went for a full hour with the team, right? Because what I'd say is this: we're not playing losing. I think I believe there's three stages. There's eliminating losing football, and then you play winning football, and then eventually you want to play championship football. I think we're playing winning football, and so we've got to get to championship football, and so there's a lot of things to learn from, right? And so, again, like I said last week, you correct the correctable things. You want the guys. I did it in front of the whole team, so the guys would take ownership. And 2 weeks in, let me say this about Colorado. That is a bunch of 4- and 5-star recruits. That is as talented and skilled a team as we will face. And I'm not just maybe someone else is maybe a little, but there's talent everywhere. And so, that you have a chance to really look at yourself now and see what are we doing well, what are we not doing well. And so yeah, I thought the film sessions were very honest. I'm not in the offense and defensive ones, but mine was very honest in terms of guys taking ownership and recognizing the execution. Like Tommy Hill had a great pick six, but if you watch the tape, I think it's Travis. Travis Hunter runs like a spot route, and Bullock takes it away. And he tries to go inside, and Bullock slides inside. Bullock played an amazing game. And so then the quarterback goes out late to Tommy, and Tommy picks it. And so the guys on defense, I think, really understand I can't do what I do unless you do what you do. And we had great pass rush because we had great pass coverage. There was not people running open very often. There was a couple, but not very often. And I want to say two names. I don't do this very often. Roman Mangini and Kenneth Williams. They played 5 and 12 last week, and they destroyed us. Like Wednesday, I mean, I had to call the team up. I was so upset. But the guys got better on defense on Thursday, and then on Tuesday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Thursday, Thursday to Friday. And I think after the game, the first thing Giff said to me was like, "Man, Kenneth and Roman really did a great job." So I pointed out the good, the bad, that Mitch, like, hey, look at the things we got better at, look at the coverage, and then the opportunities we had to put the game away, that we didn't do. So.
What role does special teams play in getting to that championship level? Did you have to play at times?
The worst special teams performance I've had in a long time. The worst. I don't know. I'm disappointed. And it's a lot of things, right? It's just not any one thing. It's a lot of things. It's we run down the opening kickoff, and we set the tone with some big hits, but we're not leveraging the ball, so the next one comes out. Like, thank goodness John Holmes might be the fastest kicker I've ever seen, because he runs Jimmy out of bounds. We get a punt blocked. That's not supposed to happen. Now we blocked a field goal, which is awesome. We have some goals about that. Buschini was a weapon. Like when the complimentary football was good, like the first drive we stopped them. They punt the ball to IGC. It bounces twice. He picks it up, and he gets the ball back to the 50. Like, people aren't talking enough about what Isaiah's doing for us in the punt return. He dives and catches the one. I don't love the dive, but he catches one at the 30. Then we go down and score in 2 minutes. So he's doing a great job. Kickoff return, the first one should have been a big hit. We don't hit it. The second one, the ball hits the ground. Now, I know Jacory lost it in the lights, and we practiced at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I put that on me. Maybe we're not catching up probably under the lights. Like last year, we practiced Wednesday nights. So I'll have to do some more of that this week. And then, we missed a field goal. And the snaps haven't been great on field goals. So I feel like the kickers now are worried about that. So there's a lot of things that aren't real good. We got the right man for the job in Ed. He'll get it fixed. But the guys, I think the guys have to recognize that, we've got to do a better job. And I think they all felt that.
You mentioned John Bullock. What kind of game did you see out of Mikai and Gbayor?
Mikai played great, played his tail off. Really have no issues with how anybody played on defense. I thought guys played. I mean, the coaches, defensive coaches, will have some things, right? But the guys all played hard, played well. It was really a game plan. It wasn't a super aggressive game plan. It was cover and let our guys rush, and our guys rushed really well. So.
I know it's so hard with the targeting stuff, and I don't know what you can say about it, but what do you call a player after the play Gbayor had, and what's the situation, I guess, for this weekend?
Yeah, he's suspended for the first half. You can file an appeal, and so we filed that. We'll wait to see. We never want our guys to hurt anybody. I was really happy that Shedeur was okay, but it was kind of a late slide. And I don't think he didn't launch in there, go down with his head. I mean, there's certainly some that I thought in that game that were going to be targeting that we didn't get. So, and again, yeah, I hope Mikai's able to play, but if not, V9 and Steph will be ready to go.
Following up on the targeting question, Luke Pickle up at Wisconsin was talking about how he wasn't loving the fact that it's an automatic ejection and it's called targeting. Is your experience in the NFL where it's not an automatic ejection through the low helmet? Do you give a take on should there be degrees of targeting called? Do you think like in basketball, just plays at one, plays at two, and the penalty would be accordingly?
I'm probably more of like I'm not very political, libertarian when it comes to these things. I like less rules, so I like less structure. Is that the right thing? I don't know. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. The difference in the NFL is you get a FedEx on Friday saying, it wasn't even a penalty, but you owe him $40,000. So, you have to go back to the onset of it, right? When they first put the targeting rules in, people were laying people out and dancing over them. So I think a lot of it's been done. So I don't know though. I mean, if a guy does truly target with intent, then the punishment's severe enough that you don't. So I think it's legislated a lot of it out. Now we're kind of getting sometimes I think nitpicky about this or this. It's hard to play defense. It's hard to play defense these days.
So you do or don't think the automatic ejection is?
I don't have much of a feeling. I mean, I think I just kind of operate based on the rules. I haven't really thought about it enough. I think it's probably fine.
With wide receivers, I know Coach Gbayor likes to say, block or rock, but what have you thought of that game against the perimeter block?
We didn't block very well on the perimeter. Yeah. The story offensively, very simply, is this. We are going out the first two drives, we're going down and scoring touchdowns, okay? We're playing great in the 2 minute. 2 weeks in a row, we go down and score in the 2 minute. We can do more and do better. If like we throw a bubble screen out there and we just get hit in the legs, right? Their receivers blocked us. So I think our receivers have to have a better week blocking. I think we had 8 penalties on offense, and not the penalty yards. I think the penalty yards was like 50 some, but the yards lost was like 160 and a touchdown. So that could have been a 45, 50 point game. Now when I coach, I'm not coaching worrying about what's Robin going to give the offensive grade this week and the defense. I just want to win the game. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not worried about that, but I want execution, and I didn't like the execution by some people. I thought Dylan executed the whole game. I thought some guys executed the whole game, but I did not like some of the execution. And one of those was the perimeter blocking. I think it could be way better, and it was way better at times last year, way better last week. This wasn't the best week we've had.
Jacory had 3 of his runs taken away on some penalties. And what have you seen him with, though, outside of those plays where he's kind of become a pretty key piece of the offense?
Yeah, I mean, like he loves to play, man. He's 160 pounds. He gets the first jet sweep. They light him up on the sideline. He gets up and does this thing, right? Like, and it's not look at me. It's just joy, right? Like I love watching Jacory play. I mean, you can't get the ball enough to him, in my mind. And so, this week I told the team, like, we're facing the number 21 team in FCS in the country. Like, they're one of the top run defenses in the country. Like, guys are going to compete for touches. Like, I'm not a schematic person. Like, I know a lot of football scheme. I've coached for some great coaches. But I'm like, you get the ball to the guys who can make plays. And then the guys have to go make plays. And so Jacory makes plays. So it should have been a touchdown on the reverse if a couple guys would have sprinted a little harder. If you have a chance, go back and watch that reverse we ran and watch what Dylan does. He hands the ball off and blocks a blitzing corner. I've never seen that before. So good players make plays. Dylan makes plays. Jacory makes plays. And I don't know if we can get the ball to Jacory enough.
Back to Dylan. It was a big stage, and there was a lot of attention on him. You feel like he handled not only the game stuff well, but just the rest of it. How do you feel like he's played through 2 games?
I told the offense a lot of them have to pick their intensity up to his level, not the other way around. He's trying to throw the ball to guys that are supposed to be in certain places and they're not there. He's at a whole other level, and those other guys better pick it up. That's said respectfully and with love. And I only say that because you guys sometimes ask me, like, hey, did you not throw it as much in the second half because of him? No, because of everyone else. Because other guys aren't, other guys weren't playing at the level I wanted, and so we're having free runners, like, they blitz us and the back misses it or the tackle misses it, and he's having to run around and make plays, but we had guys running wide open. We could have scored a lot more points. We threw a lot of shots in that game. A lot of them just didn't get thrown because he had to run, so we had no sacks because he avoided guys. But Dylan, through 2 games, Dylan's done everything you could want, except he didn't milk the clock enough going into the 2-minute last game, and that's the main thing I had for him. He can be sometimes too aggressive at times, and so me and him are – that's not Glenn, that's me and him just situationally communicating. But Dylan's doing a great job. I need everyone else to understand that, like, if a freshman knows all 120 plays in the game plan, then as a junior, I better know all 120 plays or 80 plays, whatever's in the game plan, I better know them and be able to operate them. Because, you get into 2-minute, Sam, especially early in the year, you don't – like, we didn't know what they were going to do in 2 minutes. A new coordinator from Cincinnati – I mean, we might watch so much Cincinnati Bengals film. We didn't know what was going to be. All of a sudden, it's cover 2. We're calling cover 2 beaters. When we practice for man all week, right? We go right to cover 2 beaters. He's over there like, hey, let's go to this play, and he hits it. If he knows that, like from camp, everyone else better know that. And that's what we have on defense. We have a level of accountability that's unmatched, and that's what we're getting on offense right now. And so that's why I'm saying it out loud, because we should have scored 42 or 50 points. We had some really selfish penalties. Not selfish in a bad way. Selfish in a, oh man, I don't want to get beat, so I'm going to tackle this guy here, as opposed to just do your job, man, and trust yourself. So we still have some evolution on offense to do.
Have you been around a quarterback at this age before like that?
I'm very careful what I say because PJ and those guys will call me and yell at me. PJ Walker was my quarterback at Temple. After every game, he's furious because I would have run the ball 30 more times and let him throw it 12. But we've opened it up a lot more than we did at Temple. But Charlie Brewer I had 2 guys as freshmen that were like gamers, were winners. I just think the thing with Dylan is he prepares at such a high level that we're able to just do so much with him. And again, the headset's a big deal, right? Like, it would be a lot different without the headset. The headset's a big deal that we didn't have with those other guys. But I've been blessed. I'm in the position I'm in because of great quarterbacks.
When you guys were up 20-0, did that change things mentally for maybe some guys that just haven't been around a lot of winning and maybe not accustomed to dealing with a big lead?
I don't. That's a great question. I don't know. I certainly had the opinion of, like, let's be aggressive. Let's attack. Like, we had the ball backed up on our own. What was it, like 13-yard line after the block in the back, and we threw 4 verticals and hit a seam route to Borkacher. I mean, I was playing. It was 2nd and 24. I think I was playing to be aggressive. I was not going to just sit there. And at the same time, I wasn't concerned about the points. I kept saying, like, even when they kicked the field goal, I said to Tony, 4 score. It's 4 touchdowns. It's 4 touchdowns, right? So, like, I was going to be smart and milk the clock at times, right? With 8 minutes left, we went into 4-minute mode. But I didn't see the defense do anything. The point of my meeting, going back to Mitch's question, is a lot of the problems that happened in the second half happened in the first half. There's second game of the year problems that, you have to make a jump now from game 2 to game 3, and then game 3 to game. You have to improve every week. So I didn't think necessarily there was a letdown. I do think some guys offensively got tired. And that bothers me, so we have to be better about that.
What's been the biggest evolution you've seen from the spring until now with Dowdell to put him in the position?
He's in shape. Yeah, Mitch Cholowinski, our sports science guy, he does extra running every week. He's just kind of like an anxious, asthmatic kid that, like, can sometimes hyperventilate, so he can only have so many plays in a row. And he's a wonderful kid. Like he scored a touchdown, everyone's celebrating. I am yelling at him on the field because he reached the ball across the goal line and fumbled it. I don't care what the results are. Like, that's not what we do. And so he's getting used to me. Like, okay, Coach Rhule doesn't care what the result was. He cares about the process because, we're gonna face better teams, or we're gonna face, different situations or whatever. And so, but I think Dante's done a really nice job. And I thought, this was a game because of all the man coverage where I felt like the safeties were gonna have to make a lot of tackles for them. So it was more of a big back game early, and then later in the game it would be more of a get the ball on the perimeter, which we hit with Ramir with the touchdown that got called back. But, kind of be a counter game. It's going to be a duo game, and we tried to run duo to the right because Travis is a great player, but we wanted him to have to tackle. We're like, okay, let's make Travis Hunter play like football, not man coverage. He's great at that. Unfortunately, Shiloh got hurt, but we thought, hey, we'll get the ball to the safety in the corner a bunch and make them tackle, and Dante's just really hard to tackle.
What's the main challenge this week against a bunch of different kind of football?
For me, it's making the same improvement this week that we made last week. The defense felt the urgency of the skill and the speed because they got burned on it last year. Well, now you're facing the number 4 rushing offense in FCS. You're facing 298 yards a game, and you're facing a coach Farley who's won a ton of games. And so a Northern Iowa program, like when I was in the NFL, I looked at Northern Iowa linemen. I never looked at a Nebraska lineman. So and then Cam obviously was a great player, but I never had that opportunity to see him. But so I mean, you better be ready for a physical battle with the way that they play, run defense and run offense. So that's one of the challenges, and then fixing these problems that we're having. Fixing the special teams. We've won the turnover battle 2 games in a row. It's the number one thing that I care about. I felt like we were the more physical team on Saturday. We did not have the execution at the level I wanted it to, so got to keep improving that.
The back is 240 pounds. How do you? I mean, you probably appreciate seeing a guy run the ball, but like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I like their backs. They have 2 backs that have gone over 100 yards, and I like the way that they play. It's my kind of football. 12 personnel, run the ball, play action, take shots. Be physical up front, run defense, safeties, trigger on the run, be physical. So I like the way that they play. When you face a big back, you have to gang tackle. You have to run great angles. Like last week, we said, hey, if every time Colorado runs it, it's a win for us. Even if they run for 7 yards, we don't care. Just don't give up the explosive plays. Now, we still gave up 4 plays of over 20 yards. Our goal's 2. So there were still things on defense that weren't good enough. This week, it'll just be like the war of attrition, right? So that's why, I told our guys that are competing, like, our starters are our starters on defense. They're playing well. But, like, if Mikai can't start, who's going to start? V9 or Steph? They're going to compete for that this week. Sierra's going to play. Sierra played really well when Sierra was in at both corner and on special teams. Like, those guys are going to compete to get on the field because I want a bunch of guys fighting to play well this week.
Is Carter Nelson available Saturday?
Yeah. Carter played on special teams. Yeah, just didn't get in the game on offense. This was a unique game for us in that this was a game for like the old guys that went out there. This was a game, the older guys that went to Boulder this week. Like, we didn't dress everyone this week. All the guys that went out there last year, this was their game to go in. This was their game to. So Carter will get way more involved as we move forward, and it was just kind of a lot of 12 personnel. Carter will play a lot more. But this was just sort of a hey, we're gonna play the vets, the guys who've been here. Now, not all vets. I mean, like Dante's new, but Janier played a lot, and then we played a lot of 12.
Matt, are you concerned at all about emotional fatigue after everything that was involved in last week?
No, you don't have. Let me say, I'm concerned about everything all the time. I think you guys know me by now, right? But if you want to play championship football, you're just like this. You gotta be like this, right? And so that's why I don't get too high, I don't get too low. I don't, I'll return people's texts when they text me about the game, but I'm not like, it wasn't the highlight of the year for me, right? It wasn't vindication. It wasn't anything. It was a game that we played 1-0 that I expected the game to go that way. I expected us to score 40 points in that game and hold them to about 10. Like that was my prediction of the, going into it. I thought that's where the game was, and that's no disrespect to them. I think they're a really good team. I just felt like we matched up well against that team. So we have to improve because there's other teams that we're playing, like this type of team that we're playing this week, this physical. How are we going to match up against those teams? We played 2 spread teams. Now it changes. And how do we match up against teams that want to run the ball like we want to run the ball? How do you match up with teams that want to play physical defense and play special teams? And so, we'll accelerate right through the fatigue. And I think the guys feel the pressure of, like, we didn't play very well on special teams. And we had way too many penalties, especially on off and the second. Like, Dante hit that run on, like, the second drive of the game, I think, or third drive of the game, to down to the 4-yard line. It should be it's another touchdown drive. It's 35-0 at the half, and Ben-Hur has the hold, right? And that ball comes back, and we end up not scoring on that drive. There's too much of that stuff happening, and so we've got to get a lot better.
To the or one of the running backs on the depth chart, is there clear separation for those top 2 guys?
Yeah, though I'll say this: I wasn't happy with all the blitz pickups and stuff. So like Emmett, I put Emmett in the game, and Emmett did a nice job. So Emmett will have some roles, and then Gabe, I'm probably I have to really reevaluate how I'm looking at Gabe. I'm probably too kid glove with him coming off the injury, and I put him in at the end, not as like a consolation prize, but I like him in the I, running the I formation stuff. So again, we'll compete some things out this week. But yeah, Keith, when he handed me that, he had the oars off, and basically based on the way we played with Dante and Ramir more. So, want to be more transparent with the way we do the depth.
When you have a bunch of night games on, how do you divide your time before you gotta get to the stadium? How do you coach your players to divide their time and not get over it?
I hate it. I mean, I hate it. If it was up to me, we'd play at 9 o'clock in the morning. Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go. Yeah, really, we've done, I think, a really good job of changing our schedule around. Like, we even changed it last week based upon the feedback of some of the guys on the staff. So we now get up. We have brunch from like 8:30 to 10:30, and we have buses coming over here because a lot of the guys, like, we have a lot of veteran guys that get up at 6 in the morning every morning and come over because we practice in the morning. So, like, they have recovery available for them. And then we come over here and we do our walkthrough in Hawks. So we're kind of moving around. We're walking through until about 11:30. Then we get back, get lunch over there, and then guys go up to the rooms for a couple hours. So they get out of the hotel, they get a little fresh air, they get over here where they're comfortable. Then games are on. Then we come down at 2:30 and we kind of do our neuro charge where we're bouncing balls and waking up, and we do a quick special teams call out, and then optional chapel and meals. So try to break the day up, as opposed to just sitting. Now when you're on the road, we typically, like last year at Illinois, we found like a high school. We usually go to a high school and we just kind of throw the ball around like that. Even the old linemen catch balls just to get them moving and get out of the hotel. Like with my ADD, I just can't sit there all day. I've got to get over here and do something. And so I think that change has really helped. I kind of grew up in the era of like being in the hotel, don't go back to but our building is so nice. We come over here, and I think that's helped us a little bit.
The payoff though is the fans love those night games.
Oh yeah.
Energy. You see your players feeding off of that when the lights come on and they come out after.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think for us, night games are the best. It's a weapon. It's an absolute weapon. I'm just saying. I was talking about for my preference. I like to get done with the game and go home. I went home and watched Oregon play Boise. That was a great game. I like that stuff, right? But that was just me being selfish. For the team, night games are amazing because the crowd is so electric. Like even seeing some of the stuff on Twitter, I don't always see, some of the other stuff that happens behind the scenes. It was a great crowd. I thought personally, our what's it called, game experience, game operations, Brendan Meyer and all those guys, like from like the Will Compton video to the songs they were playing to the light show and all that, like all that stuff matters, especially with this generation of kids, right? Like, you want them to want to come to the games, right? And so I thought like the whole atmosphere. Now again, I have the headset on, but I had to ask Jay this week to go out and buy noise canceling headsets because I cannot hear on defense. I'm sitting there telling Tony like, timeout. Do you want a timeout? Don't want a timeout? I can't hear. That's how loud it is. So I think the home atmosphere, and I say that because it'll help us win.
How big of a deal is that to make the program cool for kids to do that kind of stuff? Confident the things that you were just mentioning there, the atmosphere, all that, bringing Buck Crawford into the locker room.
Yeah, well, I think there's probably a couple separate parts, right? I think part of it's the game experience for They go to an NBA game nowadays, like the music's constantly playing. I think our basketball team does an amazing job. So I'm just saying kids wanting to go to the games, right? Because like the sellout streak will go and continue, and tomorrow's crowds will be today's 10-year-olds, right? That's why we do all the youth camps. And I won't be the head coach probably when those kids are, buying season tickets. But like to me, that's how you build the future of the program is you just keep investing in all the kids, and so that they have amazing memories. Most people. When people come up to me, they're like, "Coach, I've had season tickets, and my grandparents had them, and this year, and I remember the Oklahoma game." Like they have all these amazing memories. So creating memories around a group of kids nowadays that could just as easily, watch the game on their phone, right? So I look at my kids, and they're like, "Are we doing the drone show tonight, Dad? Are we doing this? Are we doing the fireworks? Why don't we do fireworks?" So I think that part of it. But then in recruiting, I think Will Compton busting with the boys is that trends among that generation of kids, and so. When we're relevant, when we're being talked about, we're always going to be relevant here. I need to be relevant in all 50 states for us in recruiting, and so I think we are. And so that helps. Like Will taking the time to come here is big time, right? And then Bud, to me, that was a special thing. Like, I have so much respect for Bud Crawford. And, like, you talk about the highlights of my year. After he came and talked to the team on Friday night, he drove over. Susan arranged it all with him. He drove over, and I have a room upstairs. We're watching. He came up and sat with me. I'm sitting there. I'm talking to, like, the pound-for-pound king. Like, I'm sitting there. I'm in awe. And, like, just, like, the most humble, regular guy. And even at the end, I gave him the game ball. I said, hey, because, he talked to our guys. And even he was like, man, I'm not happy with the way you guys played in the fourth quarter. I was like, yeah, Durham. But, and his message to our guys was like, hey, this isn't about Colorado. This is about the whole season. Like, you don't dream about just winning this game. You dream about big things. And so, but I think that's, Bud Crawford can get up there and say something I said like 500 times, and they're like, Coach, that's so deep. They hear it from him. But I say that because I can't thank him enough because he had a real impact on the game this week. Susan, I think Terrence and his people reached out through Susan, and I just wanted, and really it was so funny. It was like we had a call with his people, and they were like, hey, Terrence, Bud's he's not high maintenance. He doesn't need to talk to the team. I was like, no, I want him to talk to the team. Like, who knows more about entering the ring and fighting and battling for what you want than Terrence Crawford? Like I've done my job. My job was done in training camp. Right now it's. Even if he's chasing three, you hear me say something, that has no effect on the game. My job was done in the winter and the spring and summer. Now it's just about, the guys hearing the same messages over and over again about going out and competing. All right, thanks, guys.